Hello guys, thank you so much for doing this interview. My name is Simeon. We are all involved in the project that is called enRichMyData, and we're here to briefly explain what our roles are, what we're dealing with in this project, and so on. So I will start with the first question, and it's to tell us a bit about yourselves, your background, and the organization that you represent. So yeah, Titi.
Thanks, Simeon. I'm Dumitru Roman. I work as a senior scientist at a research institute called SINTEF in Norway, who happens also to be the project coordinator of the enRichMyData project. My general background is in the area of data management. Over the years, I've been involved in several R&D projects related to tools, technologies, building competence in this general area of data management.
Hi, my name is Matteo Palmonari. I'm associate professor at the University of Milano-Bicocca. In my career, I've been working in research areas which are at the intersection of artificial intelligence and data management, and especially on solutions to support data integration with semantic technologies. And well, this is exactly where I see this project. And so this is also explain my main role in this.
Okay, thank you. What are your roles as partners in the enRichMyData project? What motivated you to participate in this project, Matteo?
So in this project, UNIMEB has a few roles. I am the scientific manager of the project, so I'm committed to align the latest research results that are coming out today and the applications, so that we can bring innovation in the data management landscape where it's needed. And UNIMEB has also been involved in the process related to extracting the requirement and designing the architectural choices, especially my colleagues. And finally, and this is probably what motivated most my participation in this project, we are interested in improving our solutions for semantic enrichment of tabular data, which is what we do as a technical task in this project.
Oh, thank you. And what about SINTEF, Titi?
Yes, SINTEF acts as a project coordinator, both the management administrative level as well as technical, taking care of the technical coordination of the project. Also contributing to various components of this enRichMyData toolbox, ranging from data discovery, linking, scaling the whole process for data enrichment. So different bits and pieces in different parts of the project from a technical scientific point of view. Now, when it comes to actual motivation, we have been involved in this field for several years. As I mentioned earlier, we build a project portfolio in this area of data management, and our interest was to build upon our expertise and explore this area of data enrichment, work with organizations to help them do better, easier, cheaper, faster data enrichment processes. And last but not least, we have also collaborated with University of Milano-Bicocca in several occasions. So our joint interest was to build upon the results we had from previous projects and expand with this initiative on data enrichment.
That is very good. So your collaboration with the University of Milano-Bicocca goes back in time and in the fields. So how would you explain what data enrichment means and why it's important to a non-technical person like me?
I guess I can start. So, well, intuitively, data enrichment is pretty much putting data in the context. And typically what you have to do is you have some data and you want to add some more data to the data. This data the input data can be different forms, structured, semi-structured, or totally unstructured like text data. And you want to use some good reference data sets that can give good context to this variety of the data that you have as input data. And eventually, at the end of this process of data enrichment, you end up with improved data quality, better data that you can use in downstream analytics applications. Now, this area of data enrichment contains or encompasses various operations, such as reconciliation and linking of data, so trying to disambiguate things by referencing to external sources of data, extension and augmentation, like adding more data to the data. And in the process, you have to deal with cleaning the data, preparing the data, and some other things like extraction of entities and relations, classification, and profiling of data sets. So data enrichment really it's kind of broad area of research and application. It has to deal with various operations on the data. Typically, this is the in a data science context. It's the boring kind of task that one has to do, but it's very essential in order to ensure some quality of the data that analytics can rely upon. Others can see this data, the area of data enrichment quite similar to the traditional data integration problem, where, for example, in the area of databases, you had to combine data from two databases. However, there are some peculiarities in this context of data enrichment, since the data to enrich with, like the reference data sets, typically are previously unknown to the user that does the data enrichment, and also not under the control of the user who is enriching the data. Typically, data comes in, you have to access data through APIs that you can't really control. The quality of the service can differ, the quality of the data. So there are other challenges that are in this context. So you have problems like searching, finding these third-party data sets. You have to dig into them, try to understand them, to assess whether they are fit for purpose, and last but not least, to access the data due to the limited control of the user. Now, we should also see this data enrichment problem in the broader context of the current data ecosystem, where you have different things emerging, like data marketplaces, data spaces. So it's this ecosystem is about sharing the data, finding ways to exchange the data, and data enrichment plays a crucial role because it kind of facilitates and enables the possibility to use this shared data. And we also see that in this data ecosystem that's emerging, a lot of effort has to be done by the user of the data. So we tried with this concept of data enrichment to kind of lower the burden on the end user and provide components, processes, services, infrastructures that somehow alleviate the use of the data in this broader ecosystem.
And Matteo, do you have anything to add to that?
Probably what I would like to stress is that, of course, there's a very highly populated market for data management technologies that cover at some extent several aspects of data enrichment. We somehow focus a lot in this project on semantic data enrichment operations. These are the operations that have some inherent uncertainty. which depends on the algorithm and depend on the algorithms that take some decision. So example of these were mentioned before are the reconciliation of the values in a table with entities of a reference knowledge graph or of an external data source, right? So here the problem is that the algorithm is taking decision, and since we are working on the data preparation phase and the data that are prepared and are then fed to a machine learning model or to an analytical model, here we have the problem that errors may propagate, right? So it's very important to have under control these processes where algorithms make a decision and at the same time simplify the processes. So this is somehow one of the important focus that we have in this project from the point of view of semantics for data enrichment.
Yes, so it all seems very fundamental about enriching data, and chances are many professionals, not necessarily technical people, are doing it in their everyday jobs, just not knowing that it necessarily means that they're enriching data. Yeah, so can you elaborate a bit on what is the main purpose of the enrichMyData toolbox and what actually represents the toolbox? Yeah.
Sure. So the project aims to develop a sort of toolbox with components that are practical, robust, scalable. So the target is a relatively high TRL, technology readiness level that can be used in actual applications, even hopefully by the end of the project. And the purpose of this toolbox is to have some sort of tools and combination of tools to support users, organizations to enrich data with reference data sets, but also to support the providers to making their data more reusable and available to the actual process of data enrichment. So as mentioned earlier, the whole point is to somehow try to lower the technological entry barriers to users by providing support for defining scalable, replicable data enrichment pipelines through these tools and infrastructure services that are being developed in the project. So eventually to support the full life cycle of working with data enrichment pipelines.
Yeah, and Matteo, can you elaborate a bit on that as well?
No, I think it's okay what Titi said about it.
Yeah, we had plenty of information from Titi.
Yes,
okay,
yes,
so can you say what are the functionalities or the applications of the toolbox that you are most passionate about, Matteo?
Yeah, okay. So obviously the functionalities I'm more passionate about are the ones who brought me here. And so as probably I already mentioned, I'm particularly excited about developing solutions that help users in those enrichment operations, which are error prone and difficult to do today, such as the reconciliation. So this is really what I am most interested in. And I would really like to make a data reconciliation and extension for tabular data as simple and effective as editing a spreadsheet. And this is really what we are trying to do in this project. So you can do a lot of things with spreadsheets today. You also have some functionality to reconcile, but there's a lot of limitation. And in particular, one of these limitations which I am interested, that I'm passionate to work on, is that usually either you can use an existing algorithm, right? Or you have to train complicated pipeline to develop machine learning models. So what I would really like to do is to provide solutions that combine algorithmic intelligence and human in the loop to achieve effectiveness, thanks also to machine learning approaches and scalability, while maintaining the control over the final output. So this is really what I would, what I really put my most of my effort in this project.
Yeah, so from my perspective, well, this capabilities of or functionalities of the toolbox encompass a quite different types of problems, ranging from data profiling and discovery to secure semantics-based data access, or virtual graphs, interactive data cleaning and transformation, but also aspects related to scaling data pipelines, sharing these data pipelines, and also things related to dealing with streams in data enrichment pipeline. So it's various tools, various functionalities for different types of problems. Now, excitement about this, at least from my perspective, is related to the fact of making these whole things practical and solving real problems. So both in terms of capabilities of the toolbox functionalities, but also on the scale of the whole process for data enrichment pipelines are the things that I'm more hopeful for, let's say. And application areas listed in the project, we cover a very broad spectrum of application that also shows the fact that this data enrichment topic or problem is quite generic, and we have worked with companies working in digital marketing, in manufacturing, predictive maintenance, public procurement, innovation ecosystem, mineral processing. So really a broad spectrum of applications we can see for data enrichment.
Thank you. We see that data enrichment actually has quite an extensive applications in terms of practical problem solving. But Matteo, how would the toolbox help users integrate their data with other data, especially from third-party sources, and why this help is valuable for downstream applications?
Yeah, so our paradigm is inspired by years of research on and applications with knowledge graphs and knowledge and semantic technologies. And it is based basically, so the data enrichment paradigm is based on a sequence of link and extend operations and data manipulation. But data manipulation is what you can do quite easily today, right? So now what we really want to target is this: you link and then extend. You link to a source and then extend your data with data from that source. And this actually requires, so these principles was somehow there, but I think that it was not present a thorough elaboration on what you need to actually implement this paradigm. And I think that this requires two main mechanisms. From the one side, from the user side, the user needs to be facilitated in understanding the data that she wants to use and to understand how the data that she wants to use fit in her enrichment process. And so you need also to support some data exploration phase while the user decide what to link, what to extend, and how. And the second point of view is that the publisher of the data should make his data more reusable. by providing not only the data, that is what is mostly done today, right? So I give you the data, but also algorithms to link to the data, because otherwise for the user, it becomes very difficult to develop his own algorithms to link to the external data sources. And why this concept is actually inspired by how we support data enrichment with knowledge graph. With I mean our community. I would say that in this project, we are pushing forward these concepts by exploiting data services. And so, for example, linking is not only with knowledge graphs, but you can link with a geocoding service. And then when you have the geocoordinates, then you get more information from a geospatial database. So this link and extend is really what, in my opinion, encapsulate our products. And why is this available? Because we believe that these will lead to reduce costs for data users and increase the reuse for data publishing, which are the two assets that we are targeting.
Thank you. And Titi, how does enRichMyData project actually integrates tools and infrastructure services to create a comprehensive solution, and what are the challenges? Are there any unique insights that you have gained throughout this project?
Well, the project is just not even 1 year running so far. So our approach for integration of the tool is to have some sort of loosely coupled integration. So it's a toolbox, which means that there are tools that you can plug and play. But of course, we want to see these tools working together in a kind of baseline platform where you can play with these tools and combine them as you see fit for your own data enrichment task. So we have a platform developed by a company, Communication Systems in Romania, that was initially developed in the space domain, so dealing with big data, large amounts of geospatial data. So we are adopting and customizing that tool to be able to scale data enrichment processes. And of course, essential to this topic of integration is the concept of data enrichment pipeline, which we plan to support with this baseline framework. Now, in terms of challenges for this concept of data enrichment pipelines, there are many. Examples can include this limited knowledge of the reference data sets that you want to embed in these data enrichment pipelines. We also see no kind of holistic data or enrichment lifecycle support that can allow you to create, validate, deploy, execute, reuse these data pipelines. We also see a challenge in scaling the process to large amounts of data. So if you have a data enrichment pipeline, but then you have huge amounts of data, how you do that, how you deploy that whole pipeline. So the scalability part. Matteo mentioned the human in the loop concept. So how do we put a human in control of the different steps in this data enrichment pipeline to help with, for example, assessing, tuning, correcting uncertainty in data enrichment steps. So yeah, wide variety of problems that have to be addressed in this toolbox and in the general concept of data enrichment pipelines.
Yes, I see that now, and it's very inspiring to see such an international project in its relative early stage already looking for practical applications and collaborating with the private sector, trying to tackle like real world and practical problems. And did you, in terms of that, how do you see the future of this project, and how do you want for this project to evolve?
That's a very good question. So I think we want to create practical solutions that can work in at least the application areas that we are dealing with in the project. So my hope is that in a couple of years from now on, we can have some practical solutions that can help working with data enrichment in general.
Yes, and Matteo, how do you see the future of the future development of this project?
So in the future of this project, but I also would say probably more in the future of the technological landscape, I see the coming of better solution for human-in-the-loop data enrichment. This is, it was mentioned before, but I think it's really important. We would really like to understand how to make it easier for user to optimize, for example, some reconciliation algorithm for the input data set that they have to enrich with a limited effort. So this is the challenge. And what makes this problem interesting is that it is felt as very important by companies, not only the companies in the project, but also many other companies that sell their data to their customer, and their customer go back to them and ask them, help me to enrich my data, right? And the idea of this project is that with the right algorithms and infrastructure and paradigm, probably we can make it easier this process. So it's really a problem that is relevant from a practical point of view, but it's also a challenging project, a challenging problem from the research point of view, because there are a lot of challenges from the machine learning point of view. So I really think that this is something that this is an area where innovation can come from our project and for this task in general.
This thank you. This all sounds very exciting to be involved in this project, and we're really looking for the future development of this project. We'll yes, we will keep looking and yeah, trying to figure out those real practical problems. So thank you so much, guys. I'm really looking forward to hearing and reading more about your work, and hope to see more of it in the future. Thanks you so much
Simeon,
for doing
Matteo.
this.
Thank you so much, Simeon. Thank you so much for
Thank you
for the interview.